Told in 6 chapters out of order, this film follows a woman on the run from an apparent psychopath trying to take her life, though things might not be all that they seem. Film fans YouTube, hello, welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today I am looking at Strange Darling, directed by JT Mollner, and starring the talents of Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner. Before I get into my review, if you like seeing on the channel, click the like button, subscribe for more video reviews that's coming all the time so you never miss any new videos like this. Make sure you're hitting that notification bell. But without further ado, let's talk about Strange Darling. And I will say that Strange Darling is a movie that I really enjoy the execution and the storytelling. However, there are things that really hold it back, that stop it from being elevated to what I class as a top tier movie. To start off with, I really enjoy the performance of Willa Fitzgerald. She is absolutely incredible in this. The dynamic, the chemistry she shares with Kyle Gallner is really good, and the way the story plays out and the general vibes that both characters have to meet. But Willa Fitzgerald is absolutely incredible in just how nonchalant her performance is, even through some very intense moments. And as for it was a really effective performance. Now, I will say, go into this as blind as possible because the film really relies on you not knowing anything as it tells the story in an out of order sequence, almost like your old Quentin Tarantino movies like Pulp Fiction. It is deliberately told out of order, and there is a strong, specific reason for that. That becomes clear around the halfway point, and it really flips these chapters that we've seen so far on their head as we see things escalate further. I enjoyed the dynamic. There is a great scene that is very uncomfortable to watch, and I mean very uncomfortable to watch. I was begging for the film to cut away from this particular scene. However, when it finally does, but when it finally cuts away, it presents a whole new context for that scene that we have just witnessed. And that's one thing I love about the film is the fact that it is really clever in how it tells its story, how it breaks things down, and how in repeat viewings we can see things from a different perspective once we get the whole context. It really leans into that idea that we make assumptions and we get very tunnel visioned, and the film trips us up as soon as it can and really calls into question how easily we'll buy things at face value. That's one thing I really enjoyed about this movie. I thought was really well shot. Like the color palette in this was really vibrant. It is said to have been shot in 35mm. Like the opening of the film presents it as a retelling of a murder spree that takes place, and it's a recreation based on some witnesses' views and perceptions of these incidents. And you can really tell just from the visual quality in there. There is just something so energetic about the color palette and how vibrant these shots are. The colors just almost pop out at you, and the way it plays with color is really, really well done. The lighting and set design really complement the movie. If I had a nickel for every film this year that had an extended car sequence that maybe didn't need to be as long as it did, I would have 2 nickels, but we all know the joke at this point, don't we? The premise of it being told by testimonies from witnesses and survivors. Once we get to the finale of the movie, that whole thing crumbles down like a Jenga tower as that very premise ceases to make any sense once we get to the conclusion of the film's runtime. And there are certain elements that kind of become very frustrating, especially certain moments that exist purely to keep the plot going, and you can't help but question why things would have played out in this particular way. One particular character that really drags you out of the movie because the film is very accurate in what you'd expect to happen in these scenarios. However, there is a particular character that comes in, makes an assumption, and basically ignores any training they would have for the job they have in order to immediately buy this assumption that ultimately causes things to collapse on themselves. That is something that was very frustrating to me. It really dragged me out of the movie as the film was really solid up until that point. And it just became very frustrating how that dragged on. That being said, the performances really helped carry the movie, and I just had a very good time watching this. I just feel like it needed a little bit more to really bump it over the edge. Kyle Gallner is very good in the movie as well. Like, this really relies on the core two performances in the movie. And I was shocked when doing my research of the actor before doing this review that he is the emo kid from Jennifer's Body. That's a nice little Easter egg that I found out, which was very interesting. But he has this intensity about him, the way he has to shift his tone and personality depending on whereabouts in the film we are. It's really good. There are times where he's a big softie, and there are other times where he comes across like a Terminator almost. He is very interesting to watch in this movie, and if it weren't for the core dynamic of our two leads in this, it might have worked as well as what it did. Like, this film is heavily built on the gimmick of its out of order storytelling and how it really calls into question our habit of taking things at face value and latch onto the first bit of information that is presented to us. That is something I really enjoyed about this movie. Before I get into my grade, if you like seeing our channel, click the like button and subscribe for more reviews that's coming all the time. But without further ado, let's get into the grade. So, Strange Darling, it is a movie that is very vibrant in its color scheme. The performances are really solid. However, the realistic element and the way that things happen you would fully expect to happen, as that slowly fades away and leads into more only really happening because we need the movie to keep going, that's when it starts to drag things down a bit. And the payoff, once we get to the end of the movie, it doesn't feel like it was a satisfactory conclusion. It felt very forced the last 10-15 minutes of the movie, and that really dragged it down for me. So I'm going to have to say that for me, Strange Darling is a tea that needs more sugar. So, Strange Darling, have you seen it? If you have, let me know you thought down in the comments below. Until next time, everybody, my name is Josh. I've been your Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.